Jim Compton, Democratic mayoral hopeful Sheila Jones will be our guest on People to People Saturday morning at 9.
Tonight, tracing the Iran-Contra money, another secret bank account. Our Washington interview tonight will deal with that. On Health Beat, it kills insects, and it also may be killing you. The chlordane controversy.
I'm curious, and how can the EPA allow this to keep on poisoning families?
Also tonight, a threat to kill the hostages in Lebanon. And Hollywood celebrates a birthday, its own.
Personally, I thought it would be more glamorous than this.
From the Independent News, this is USA Tonight with Morton Dean.
Good evening. Another link in the money chain. Senate investigators have traced money from the Iran arms deal to another secret bank account, not in Switzerland this time, but in the Cayman Islands. That's one prominent fact from the Senate Intelligence Committee report of its investigation into the arms scandal. The report was made public today. Much of the information had already leaked out. The Cayman Island bank account is a fresh item. The Senate committee did not turn up direct evidence that the president knew about the Contra money. It's clear the investigation was stymied by key witnesses employing the Fifth Amendment. To learn more about what's in the report and what isn't in the report, we've asked Senator Dennis DeConcini to join us from Washington. Senator DeConcini is a Democrat from Arizona, and he's a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Thanks for dropping in.
You're welcome, Morton. I'm glad to be with you.
Senator, I want to ask you some of the fingerprint and footprint questions. Where do the footprints lead once that money is in the Cayman Island account? Do you know?
No, the problem with this report, Morton, it's as complete as it can be without the key testimony of the people that were depositing that money or having it deposited and were taking the money out. And who they took it out and delivered it to, namely Lieutenant Colonel North and Vice Admiral Poindexter and perhaps retired General Secord. Without their testimony, you don't have any hard, fast conclusions. This report does not make a final determination. As a matter of fact, it leaves a lot of unanswered questions. It is the most comprehensive piece that I've seen, including the one that was leaked out to one of the networks a few weeks ago. This clarifies some of the misinterpretations, and that was only a draft. This is a final report from the Intelligence Committee of all that we know here.
Senator?
Yes.
Am I right in saying that the committee did have or does have documentary evidence saying that this money really was destined for the Contras? There's just absolutely no doubt about that, is there?
There's no doubt in my mind that it was destined for the Contras. Tracking that money and finding the actual negotiable instrument that has been negotiated, I don't know where it is, and I cannot tell you. I don't know.
Exactly, if you know, how much money are we talking about here? Various figures.
I can only speculate, Morton, that it's in the area between $4 and $10 million, and that's not from the committee report, nor is it from any classified information. It's assumptions based on what witnesses in the public have said and been reported on various networks.
I know you had a problem with the Fifth Amendment before your committee, but do you have any idea as to whether someone is going to be able to link the Contra money arrangement to the Oval Office, to the President himself?
My own best judgment, Morton, is that I doubt whether the President knew of the diversion of monies. There was no question about it, an effort on behalf of the administration that I think the President not only knew but fostered, and that was to find outside money, outside the government, resources to help the Contras. And that may have what perpetrated the actual trade from the sale of the arms into the Contra, thinking that that was not government money. And in fact, in my judgment as a lawyer, it probably was government money because there was a sale of government assets and a return of money supposed to be to the government, and then that was diverted out. But I don't think the President knew it.
Senator DeConcini, thank you very much for joining us from Washington tonight.
You're welcome, Martin.
Thank you.
Good to be.
And coming up later on, new death threats against American hostages, and on Health Beat, the list of horror stories involving a widely used pesticide.
I was getting violent, vicious headaches and muscle pains and aches, and started irregular bleeding, and I had a miscarriage.
The golfer and the homemaker have something in common. We call it athlete's back. That sudden minor back pain that comes from overused muscles. New Doan's ibuprofen backache pills contain the most modern pain relief medicine you can buy without prescription.
Relieving back pain doesn't have to be hit or miss.
Ibuprofen has worked for millions.
New Doan's works directly on minor back pain to relieve it in the early stages.
New Doan's helps put your athlete's back in action fast.
Colombian coffee, hand-picked by Juan Valdez, the richest coffee in the world.
3.9% financing on new Ford cars and trucks only at Burt Wyman Ford. Sacrifice your choice, all with their full price. Only $14.88. A 1979 Thunderbird, $14.88, and $14.88 buys us 1977 Chevy Monte Carlo, and $14.88 buys us 1977 Olds Delta Royale. All cars 100% winterized, no extra cost at Chicago's #1 Ford dealer, Burt Wyman Ford at 3535 North Ashland.
Introducing Metaprin when your body hasn't got time for the pain.
I haven't got time for the pain. No, I haven't got time for the pain anymore.
Metaprin has ibuprofen, the prescription ingredient recommended by doctors 2-to-1 over aspirin for body pain, including minor arthritis pain. And it's safer to your stomach than aspirin.
Haven't got time for the pain.
When your body hasn't got time for the pain, new Metaprin from the makers of Tylenol products.
Call it a preemptive strike, a threat to kill all 4 Beirut University college professors kidnapped this weekend if U.S. forces in the Mediterranean attack Lebanon. The captors underscored their deadly handwritten message with a brutalizing picture of one of the hostages. Jeff Kamen reports.
This photograph of American teacher Robert Polhill with 2 machine gun barrels aimed at his head was released in Beirut today by the men who kidnapped 4 professors last Saturday. Polhill and 2 of the others are Americans. The terrorists now threaten to murder them if the U.S. takes military action in Lebanon. An American aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean Sea is steaming in that direction, while another is moving to the Persian Gulf, bordered by Iran.
We do have forces in the Gulf, and we have forces moving toward and in the Indian Ocean.
During a live television satellite news conference with reporters in Europe, Israel, and Japan, Secretary of State Schultz said despite the various names taken by terrorist groups,
they are, to a substantial degree, linked together. And we also observe some very strong ties to Iran.
At the White House today, an embarrassed Larry Speaks, the president's chief spokesman, admitted that Reagan had sent an autographed Bible to Iran as a gesture of his personal involvement in the arms deal, to show, said Speaks, that the president is a man of God. After the Speaker of Iran's parliament showed the signed Bible to reporters yesterday, Reagan's spokesman said he did not know if the Bible had been sent by the president, and Speaks said he would not ask Reagan about it. The Reagan administration today publicly called again for the extradition from West Germany to the United States of Muhammad Ali Hamadi, accused airline hijacker and murderer. He and his brother, Abbas Hamadi, are now suspected of involvement in wide-ranging terrorist activities, including the recent wave of kidnappings in Beirut.
And Secretary of State Schultz is voicing his concern over the fate of Church of England hostage negotiator Terry Waite. It has been 10 days since Waite dropped from sight in Beirut, going underground to try to arrange for the release of 2 Americans held captive by the Islamic Jihad terrorist organization. He's been out of touch, out of contact, but one malicious source says he has seen Waite moving around freely. That cannot be independently confirmed. Jeff Kamen in Washington.
In the Philippines, a peaceful end to a 3-day attempted coup. Today, the last holdouts, 250 soldiers occupying a Manila television station, surrendered. The men gave themselves up to forces loyal to the Aquino government. As the rebellious troops were bused to Army headquarters, Marcos supporters cheered them on. Less than an hour later, President Aquino reiterated her intention to prosecute both the civilians and military men involved in the coup attempt. In addition, the Aquino government said it foiled another plot. Aquino officials say deposed President Marcos had secretly planned to fly back to the Philippines this week. Marcos says U.S. officials warned him yesterday not to try to return to the Philippines. Marcos also accused the U.S. of holding him a prisoner in exile. He is now living in Hawaii. In a footnote, it seems as if Marcos's wife, Imelda, purchased about $2,000 worth of camouflage clothing and jungle boots earlier this week. Marcos said, however, the gear was for his bodyguard. Police in Puerto Rico today arrested a third suspect in the arson fire at the DuPont Plaza Hotel. 96 people were killed and 100 were injured when the fire roared through the hotel on New Year's Eve. Police today charged hotel bar employee Jose Francisco Lopez with arson, murder, and conspiracy in the case. All three of the suspects arrested so far are members of a union that was involved in a labor dispute with the hotel. Police did not specify what role Lopez allegedly played in the fire. They also did not rule out further arrests. Coming up, the new airfare wars, and a city celebrates a century of cinema. Happy birthday, Hollywood.
My friends really embarrassed me about my cat's litter box odor. So I got new Glade Litter Fresh. Just shake it on the litter, and anti-ammonia Litter Fresh eliminates litter box odor. It really works. New Glade Litter Fresh.
In recent clinical studies, one group used Scope, another Levoris. The results, Levoris was more effective at reducing bad breath. To appreciate how much more effective, we suggest you do your own field research.
Today you have a choice in the way your coffee is decaffeinated. Some brands use chemicals like methylene chloride or ethyl acetate. But Taster's Choice does it naturally, using no chemicals. Just pure water and oil from the coffee bean itself. So when you choose Taster's Choice naturally decaffeinated coffee, you get pure, rich tasting coffee and absolutely nothing else.
Oh no! Harlem Furniture's 70% off January clearance sale ends this Monday at 9.
You mean after 9 Monday, it's no more $900 bedrooms from $399? No more $800 living rooms from $299?
Right, and no more $500 dinettes from $199 either, because all these amazing savings...
70% and more!
End this Monday at 9 at Harlem.
Harlem has got furniture. Harlem has quality discounts. Tonight's best place since 1912. Harlem Furniture, you like our style.
3.9% financing on new Ford cars and trucks only at Burt Wyman Ford. Check out these GM trades, all with their full price. A 1984 Chevy Celebrity Eurosport, $49.88. This 1981 Olds Desert Royale, $34.88. This 1980 Chevy Citation, only $19.88. All cars 100% winterized, no extra cost at Chicago's #1 Ford dealer, Burt Wyman Ford, 3535 North Ashland.
A vampire makes a good roommate.
What's this?
He's never home at night.
I'm impressed.
But a vampire can be a problem when he has a big appetite. Tales from the Dark Side.
Sunday night at 10 on Channel 9.
The eligibility of over 150,000 Chicago voters has been challenged by the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. Of this number, more than 15,000 are Hispanic. If you have received this form in the mail, you must do one of the following three things by February 10 if you want to vote in the next election. 1, call this number, 269-7900, and supply the information required, and you will receive a letter authorizing you to vote. Or 2, remove this portion of the notice, provide the information required, and mail it at no cost to the Board of Election Commissioners, or drop it off at the nearest library. Or 3, appear in person at the Board of Election Commissioners and present two pieces of identification. Your vote can make the difference because your vote is power. Your vote is your voice. If you have received this notice and you want to vote in the next election, you may simply call this number or return this card or appear in person. You have only until February 10, so act now. This message provided as a public service by this station and the Midwest Voter Registration and Education Project.
A new airfare war is revving up. Earlier today, Eastern and Continental Airlines, both owned by Texas Air, announced the Max Saver fare up to 40% cheaper than the lowest existing fare. Later, United Airlines matched the Max Saver. Now several other airlines are reviewing the situation. Some experts fear this round of fare wars could cause some financial casualties among the airlines.
USA Tonight's Health Beat is brought to you by Advanced Dristan.
In Washington today, there was debate over what may be a silent killer. The pesticide chlordane is used to kill termites, but some evidence suggests it may cause cancer in humans. This week, the Environmental Protection Agency decided not to ban chlordane. It says evidence of cancer risks is not strong enough. Critics say that's all wrong. Jan Smith reports.
This woman says her house was contaminated and her family was poisoned after the chemical chlordane was sprayed in the basement to get rid of termites. She is suing the manufacturer and exterminator. Chlordane has been used to kill termites in millions of American homes. Tests show it causes cancer in rats and mice, and there are increasing complaints the pesticide prompts serious health problems in humans, too.
I was getting violent, vicious headaches and muscle pains and aches and started irregular bleeding, and I had a miscarriage.
Toxicologists at the National Coalition Against the Misuse of Pesticides are collecting the names and stories of other chlordane victims for a legal clearinghouse. The coalition wants the Environmental Protection Agency to ban the pesticide.
I just don't believe that this chemical can be used safely. And to tell you the truth, I believe that the margin for error is much too slim. We're talking about people's homes.
Joan Dine and her family have moved out of their $400,000 home to escape high levels of contamination. She is finding decontamination of furniture and clothing an expensive ordeal.
I'm furious, and how can the EPA allow this to keep on poisoning families?
EPA officials admit the pesticide can cause problems when it is not applied properly. They banned it from agricultural use in the 1970s, but say they lack evidence needed to ban chlordane from use against termites.
We're concerned about the cancer risk. We're concerned about chronic liver effects. That's really only half of the risk equation. That's the hazard information. What we're lacking at this point is the exposure data, which we expect to come in within the next couple of months.
In most states, Americans can just buy a half gallon of chlordane off the store shelves and apply it as they choose. The pesticide is only banned in New York and Massachusetts. The EPA has just issued a new standard which would pull the pesticide off store shelves by next year and restrict the application to trained and experienced exterminators. But that is not strong enough to satisfy environmentalists.
I'm disappointed that EPA did not come out with a firm decision to ban this chemical, get it out of the marketplace.
It's possible that the agency's position, and I guess my personal position, might change.
EPA officials say they will adjust their rulings according to the evidence provided by the manufacturer, Velsicol. Company spokesmen say they will do more studies, but insist their data shows no link between chlordane and cancer or other health problems among those who work with the pesticide every day. In Washington, Jan Smith reporting.
Why? USA Tonight's Health Beat was brought to you by Advanced Dristan.
When you have a cold, this is the focus of suffering. Where you want Dristan, where you clog, drip, throb. Dristan gives you extra relief. Many cold products contain antihistamine, others add decongestant, but Dristan adds a third medicine to relieve aches and pains, an extra medicine for extra relief at the focus of suffering. Dristan, tablets, and new coated caplets too.
Plaque. It's not something you want on your teeth, but if you smoke, it can be worse, because tar and nicotine stains on smokers' teeth can be trapped by plaque deposits that form regularly. Regular brushing with Topol helps remove tar and nicotine stains, and now a new clinical study shows brushing with Topol helps remove plaque. Use Topol Smoker's Tooth Polish. It fights tar and nicotine stains, and it fights plaque.
Now, save $1. Look for specially marked packages of Topol at participating retailers.
Nice knife. In recent chemical studies, one group used scope, and another group used Lavoris. The results? Even after 3 hours, Lavoris was more effective than scope at reducing bad breath. We always knew Lavoris with zinc chloride was more effective than scope. To appreciate how much more effective Lavoris is, we suggest you do your own field research.
An American journalist working in China for a French news agency was taken into custody by Chinese officials in Beijing this evening. Lawrence McDonald is accused of spying. He was ordered expelled, but the charges were made last week while he was vacationing outside of China, and he was allowed to return to collect his belongings. McDonald did return, and today he was summoned to a Beijing police station. He was then hustled away in a car. According to McDonald's boss, he may have been driven to the airport to be sent out of the country. First, they were invited in. Now they've been ordered out. Iran says Western reporters must leave the country as soon as possible. The stated reason, fears that Iraqi jets trying to raid the capital may bomb the area. This past week, Tehran, boasting of major victories in its 6.5-year war with Iraq, gave reporters a rare glimpse of the front line. Don Murray reports.
This is a war that has turned back time. The killing conflict of attrition in the Persian Gulf has its only parallel in the mud and murder of World War I. But this month, near Basra, the Iranians have dented the Iraqi line. They call it an important victory.
These are the prizes of victory. Dozens of burned-out Iraqi tanks strewn over the battlefield.
These men, too, are prizes of victory. 2,500 Iraqi prisoners from the Battle of Karbala 5, chanting obediently for the foreign media under the direction of their Iranian captors. God is greatest. Saddam Hussein, the Iraqi leader, is the enemy of God. Imam Khomeini is our leader. They're prisoners, but they are alive. The Iranians say they killed 6 times their number in the latest offensive. An hour later, captured senior Iraqi officers file in to meet the press. A brigadier general, 2 major generals, 5 lieutenant colonels, a downed pilot. Their number and their rank hint at the extent of the Iraqi defeat. Some stay silent and look unhappy. Others, however, talk, and their words are severe for their own side.
Their morale is not very good.
One speaks of the weak defenses at Basra. In some places, he says, guarded now only by militiamen. Only further Iranian attacks contest the truth of those statements, but Baghdad in recent months has produced no Iranian prisoners to match these in rank or bleak criticism of their own forces. Propaganda victories, however, will not end this conflict. The war will grind on. More battles will be fought. More men, many more men, will die. And all this for a poison prize. A few square kilometers of barren, brutalized land. Don Murray, CBC News, in Iran-occupied Iraq.
In South Africa, more press restrictions in a nation where censorship is already the rule. Today, the government gave the country's police commissioner total power to ban publication or broadcast of any matter he chooses. And up next, 100 years of Hollywood.
It's Outrageous Fortune with Bette Midler and Shelley Long this week on At the Movies.
Going to have us killed.
Don't get over yourself. He's not going to kill us.
Oh, why not?
Because we're going to be raped and murdered in this building.
And Richard Pryor is in critical condition, his latest film.
We got the greatest jobs in the world. We can park anywhere we want.
This week on At the Movies with Rex Reed and Bill Harris.
Saturday night at 6:30 on Channel 9.
Would you believe this love seat is 15 years old? It is. And it still looks new because it's been protected with heavy-duty Ward's custom furniture covers. Get plastic, cloth, Naugahyde, or Durafab covers at factory-to-you prices. Covers are available from as low as $14.95 for sofas, $11.95 for love seats, or $7.95 for chairs. Call now and get Ward's custom covers, 2 for 1 clean and cover at one low price. Don't wait. Call 829-1650. Ward's custom covers.
3.9% financing on new Ford cars and trucks only at Burt Wyman Ford. Burt Wyman has rows of imports all full price to save. This 1984 Honda Civic CRX with air only $44.88. A 1983 Nissan Sentra with air only $29.88. This 1983 Toyota Tercel Deluxe $24.88. Burt says, why pay more? All cars 100% winterized, no extra cost to Burt Wyman Ford at 3535 North Ashland.
She's a little run down and may have lost a bit of her sparkle, but Hollywood celebrates its 100th birthday this week. The 120-acre area of Los Angeles has seen some good times and some bad. But as Andrea Kaiser reports, Hollywood is being rediscovered and is in for a facelift.
Hollywood's birth may be the stuff movies are made of. When town founders submitted the first plan for the city 100 years ago, they envisioned a retirement community with no movie houses and no booze. What they didn't realize was a closed-up tavern would become Hollywood's first movie studio.
The community traded alcohol for actors, something that I think they probably were to regret later, but that was the beginning of the film industry here.
In 1912, Hollywood's other major studio was a barn, where actors shared stalls with horses. Here, Jesse Lasky made Hollywood's first feature film, Squaw Man. The Lasky Feature Play Company merged with Arthur Zucker's Famous Players, and that was how Paramount Studios was born. Lasky's children vividly remember life during Hollywood's early years, and after the stars moved in.
I went to school in a Rolls Royce, which was very embarrassing. You can imagine how I felt getting out of a chauffeur-driven Rolls Royce when my friends were riding bicycles or jalopies.
Very early Hollywood, it was like growing up in an American small town. And then you had this enormous, bursting show business center, this capital of fantasy that was sending this product all over the world.
Ironically, it was World War I that gave Hollywood its first big break in showbiz.
They wanted to forget the tragedies and the horrors. So worldwide, Hollywood became the manufacturers of this fantastic lifestyle, which wasn't really a true lifestyle at all. It was, they created legends and dreams, and people enjoyed it.
On and off the screen, stars became Hollywood's big attraction.
There are always a lot of movie people here at all hours.
A tour through Hollywood in its heyday in the early 30s.
This part of the city has really fallen on hard times. Keep in mind, back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, even in the 50s, this was a very classy street. It rivaled Rodeo.
A tour through Hollywood today.
Personally, I thought it would be more glamorous than this, because we're from Ohio, and to tell you the truth, it looks a little worse than our downtown.
What happened to Hollywood between then and now is not unlike what happened to factory towns all over the country. The cost of manufacturing movies and dreams went up. New technology, television threatened. Courts broke up the great movie monopolies, and studios moved out to surrounding areas where land and labor were cheaper.
People come from all over the world, and the smallest scrap of Hollywood memorabilia makes their crusades worthwhile to them. So I feel we have a responsibility to the world who is looking for Hollywood to still be this dreamlike community.
A larger-than-life reminder of Hollywood's golden years stands far above the city in these hills. The Hollywood sign was first erected in 1922 by a real estate broker advertising property of the stars. By the early 70s, many of the stars had left these hills, and the Hollywood sign was rotting away. But in 1978, Hollywood's residents raised $250,000 to rebuild their famous landmark. Today, each of the letters of this sign stands 55 feet tall, steel reinforced, embedded in concrete, ensuring that at least this one piece of Hollywood's heritage will be around for the next 100 years. This is Andrea Kaiser in Hollywood, California.
Tomorrow night, film critic Jeffrey Lyons looks at the new Woody Allen film, Radio Days. And that's USA Tonight. I'm Morton Dean. Have a good night and a good day tomorrow.
Explore the universe within The Incredible Machine, a National Geographic special.
Tuesday night at 7 on Channel 9.
Hal Roach Studios, in association with LBS, presents the Colorization Network.
Lights, camera,
Color.
I don't feel any different.
Now the spirited comedy Topper, starring Cary Grant and Constance Bennett as two of the zaniest, most colorful ghosts you'll ever meet. Topper, more fun for everyone, in color.